here we have the integral of z cubed e to the z dz. So we're going to use integration by parts. And first we're going to let u equal z cubed and dv equal e to the z dz. And with that, du, take the derivative here, equals 3z squared dz. And v equals e to the z. The integral of e to the z is e to the z. So now we're going to let I sub 1 equal the integral of z cubed e to the z dz, and using integration by parts, this equals u times v. So z cubed e to the z minus v du. So minus, and since du is 3z squared, we can put that 3 outside the integral. So minus 3 times the integral of z squared e to the z dz. Now here we have the z squared e to the z. We can use integration by parts to solve this integral. So we're going to let u sub 1 equal z squared and dv sub 1 equal e to the z dz. So with that, du sub 1 equals 2z dz, and v equals, or v sub 1 equals e to the z. So now we have I sub 2 now equals the integral of z squared e to the z dz, which equals, again, u times v, or u sub 1 times v sub 1, so z squared e to the z minus, and here we can pull the 2 out, times the integral of z times e to the z dz. And again, with this integral, we can use integration by parts. So if we let u sub 2 equal z, and dv sub 2 equal e to the z dz, then we have du sub 2 just equals dz, because taking the derivative of that is 1 dz, and v sub 2 equals e to the z. So then the integral of z e to the z dz equals, again, u times v. So that's going to be z e to the z minus the integral of v du. So that is e to the z dz. So now we can take the integral of this here. So this equals z e to the z minus e to the z plus z sub 1. Okay, so now we can take this expression here. Right here we had z e to the z. So we substitute this back into here. So now we have I sub 2 equals the integral of z squared e to the z dz, which equals z squared e to the z minus 2 times z e to the z minus e to the z plus c sub 1. And we distribute this here, and this equals z squared e to the z minus 2 z e to the z plus 2 e to the z minus 2 c sub 1. So now that we've solved this integral, the z squared e to the z dz, that was up here in I sub 1, z squared e to the z dz. So we substitute this value back up in here. So now we have I sub 1, which equals the integral of z cubed e to the z dz is going to equal z cubed e to the z minus 3 times z squared e to the z minus 2z e to the z plus 2e to the z minus 2 c sub 1. So now we need to distribute the negative 3 here. So this equals z cubed e to the z minus 3z squared e to the z. Negative 3 times the negative 2 becomes plus 6 z e to the z, and the negative 3 times the 2 minus 6 e to the z plus c, where c equals 6c sub 1. So here is the evaluation of the integral.